The stories we tell ourselves about the experiences rather than to just be in the experiences. I could talk about meditation for days and days, but one of the things is to find a way to just simply sit down, quiet down, begin to observe the mind, begin to observe the breath, and then see what happens. Because we can talk about meditation, read about it, but it's really about our own experience. Because any wisdom that came out of people meditating for a day, for decades, comes from the practice.
Hello. Welcome to You Are the Medicine podcast. My name is Christy, your host and owner of Illume Evolve, a company founded to elevate and guide individuals into deeper peace and also to create awareness and personal transformation through the practices of yoga, Reiki, and breath work. My desire is to help people connect to a deeper place within themselves in order to access their full potential. Through my professional career, working as a nurse practitioner and having many of my own lived experiences, I've cultivated a gift, an intuitive gift, and deep sensing and compassion for the human spirit. Today, we will be focusing this episode exclusively on the power of us being the medicine. You are the medicine. The answers lie within you. Returning to the ancient wisdom that is stored inside of your body. Knowing, trusting into yourself, leaning into your own expansion. Today, we also have a special guest, Lara Elliot. She will be coming to join us. She's a Reiki teacher, holistic integrative healing arts practitioner, meditation teacher, and acupuncturist based in Ojai, California. She has many, many things to share with us. We're going to listen to her talk about her Dharma talks. Lara finds deep resonance with the Buddhist teachings and actually actively pursues Zen Buddhism as a dedicated teacher and practitioner. She's also a mother. She plays many hats, many roles, and she's going to share with us her wisdom today. Hello, Laura. Thank you for joining into this time today. I have a special guest here, Lara Elliot. I'm so grateful that you agreed to be here and allow me to interview you today.
It's nice to be here with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you. I actually have spent this past few months on interviewing people who work in a level of expertise in the healing arts. And I recently had the honor of training and obtaining my Reiki level 2 through you, and just being in your light, in your space, and learning from you and your practices that you are deeply committed to. And I just wanted to highlight your work today and give people a chance to hear about who you are and what you are currently in pursuit of.
I'm trying to put that in a few sentences. What I'm currently in the pursuit of. I think I find myself so grateful and lucky to have created an everyday life that includes my work, that has come really from the curiosities and the passions in my heart, and have led me from leaving Europe when I was 25 to New York City, to dipping into some years of working in the fashion industry there, then following another curiosity of spiritual practice, specifically in Buddhism and wellness, holistic health, leading into Chinese medicine. And that's, of course, where I still find myself and probably will until the rest of my days, in the deep studies of Chinese medicine, Taoism, Buddhism. And the beautiful thing is that these deep passions of mine are spiritual practices and a way of addressing healing and wellness and well-being in on all levels of the physical, the mental, emotional, and then of course feeling spiritually connected. So basically finding myself having created an everyday life where I see people and support them on a path that I'm walking myself, and that really seems like to have meaning and purpose, to be in service, but also to be in service of my own heart.
I love that. I love that. And I'm curious, I know I recently had the chance for you to hear a little bit about your work, how it is, how you or where you are currently in teaching and talking about the path of Buddhism, and if maybe you could share a little bit with this audience, maybe people who don't know much about it are curious. And what is Dharma? What is this Dharma and the podcast or that you're now hosting or you're doing every week, this weekly gathering?
Yes. Okay, so because of the study of Chinese medicine that started for me in 2011 and then continued with my move to California, and also in an academic setting, which runs side to side with Taoism, and then my
Mm,
continuation of Buddhism and in Zen, that I used to go to a Zen temple in New York City, or actually in Brooklyn. I found, and then other curiosities of Reiki healing, where I found actually those teachings of Buddhism, of Taoism back in, and then, further curiosities of Ayurvedic medicine, and finding in that spiritual core the same. And then here comes the word, what we call Dharma. Um, just realizing that, to me, most all spiritual well, the core of most spirituality is the same essence, and it is the teachings, to me, of the Dharma is the teaching, truth, or the heart, and it can probably also be translated in other things in other ways, but truth, teachings, and then heart are one of my current favorite translations of Dharma. And in Buddhism, that is the interconnectedness, the realization that everything and everyone is interconnected, duality and non-duality, and then loving kindness, loving awareness,
mm,
being present. And did I miss one of the big ones? Of course, the teachings of peace and not harming. And even if, like, for somebody listening to this has a completely different, or never has been exposed to Buddhism in some ways, but maybe to other religions or spiritual practice, and be like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. That's kind of how we ideally want to live our lives, connected to these,
mm.
that sense of connection within all people. And that's why harming ourselves or others just doesn't feel aligned, or harming nature. And, that sense, basically, of walking through life guided from the heart, or finding ourselves in
I
this
love
and
that.
keep coming back to it. That's really the Dharma. And in I have started maybe 6 months ago a weekly class, or I actually call it sessions, because my intention were to not necessarily needing to be the teacher in the space, but finding or creating a space of an hour of choosing a reading, a book, a chapter from a book from my little library here, of the different books on Taoism, Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, natural healing, Reiki, Chinese medicine, and just choosing one chapter, read it together, and then allowing that to inspire whatever it, awakens, whatever it inspires in the heart. and maybe even see those threads, the connection, even if it seems they're different philosophies, but finding that Dharma basically in all of them, which I have over the years. And another part to these weekly sessions on every Tuesday morning is that they are free. And I really wanted to have a
That's
free
amazing.
offering. And they are recorded, so it's a Tuesday morning Pacific
This
time
is
that not
great.
everybody can make, so they record it, and whoever wants to read along can do that at a later time. And I usually guide first into a brief movement exercise of a few minutes, then conscious breathing for a few minutes, and then we are opening the text to read together. And the reason is because these readings, I say, they are not necessarily like reading a novel together, which is also wonderful, a cookbook, but there are Dharma readings, and that there is an intention there, and that's to open the heart, to awaken the heart.
I
And
love this. I love this.
and in order to that to really be the medicine, what it takes is to come into consciousness around that offering of the medicine, that it's something that's here for
Mm,
us. And like in a beautiful conversation or a healing conversation where it's more about listen to listen and not to respond, to help us come into the consciousness through a little movement, through opening the body and the energy, then opening the mind, opening the heart, so that we're open. And I say it's like becoming an open vessel and an empty vessel. And then the words of the text, the Dharma, can fill us up rather than to already be full and there's
mm,
no space for
mm.
anything. And I
I
have this from
see.
a beautiful text from Taoism, and it was the idea of deep listening. And first, we need to empty ourselves like a lake that's emptied from water, and then the words of another person can fill the lake up, can fill us up.
Oh, this is beautiful. If I may ask, so, how does meditation allow for
Mm.
that spaciousness for maybe someone? And I have a friend who is active seeking and practicing in the same in Buddhism. And she had asked me, she's like, please ask, what does it look like for someone to begin this journey, who don't have a formal meditation practice, um, you know, why, and I think you just said the benefit of is you're creating space to allow this to come in. But how does one begin,
Mm.
in the early stage
Oh, well,
of
first
building the
of all,
practice?
yeah, that's a beautiful question. And the the great thing is that the first is the curiosity about it. And if that is there, rather than somebody prescribing it, like, people who want to lose weight, and then they hear you should go and play tennis, and then they do something that doesn't is actually not really something that comes from themselves, it doesn't work well. It doesn't go well
Mm-hmm.
because it feels like um it feels like something that we really don't want to do from the inside out. And that's with healing and our spiritual journey, the most important part. So the curiosity about something like a Reiki training or
I
meditation
love that.
is number one,
Yeah.
because really what these practices do are bringing us back to our own inner wisdom and guidance. So that's already in place,
Wow.
but we will, through the practice, see
Yes.
that's the path and that's what's happening. And that's
That's
really what
beautiful.
happens with meditation. Rather than just seeing it as an exercise, what is happening, and it is a form of beginning to observe, to become the observer rather than the doer. That's why meditation usually also takes to become still in our whatever we're doing. There is, however, walking meditation, but usually it's in
Mm,
sitting or laying down, but sitting in the way that I like to practice it. And then there becomes, because we are aware that the mind is very active, and which is one of the main things to become aware of in meditation. We could, let's say, sitting down, and then begin to position ourselves in a way that it feels comfortable, but also
mm,
open and not crutched, because we do want energy to flow properly, and also
mm,
not be in too much pain. And then oftentimes the instruction is to close the eyes or to keep them very, very gently open. But
mm.
that's almost advanced, because then the distraction is more. especially if it's not in a dark room. And then we use usually the breath as a guide, a focal. So some sort of focal point, and there's, I don't even know what the number would be, but a million meditation kinds of meditations. And I like the very simple meditation of basically just focusing on the breath, counting the breath is oftentimes in Zen meditation, the beginner's instructions. And beginner's instructions doesn't mean that they can't be beneficial 10, 20, 30 years into the practice. There is actually that idea of beginner's mind in Buddhism, and that mind that the wonders, the mind that doesn't know and doesn't claim to know, that we ideally want to cultivate and keep for the rest of our
Mm,
lives, like a child, curiosity. So basically, sitting, closing the eyes, and then just begin to observe, and also allowing to focus on the breathing, which can be a good tool to return again and again from thoughts, because what will likely happen is that we begin to think, because that's, Eckhart Tolle always says the heart is beating, the lungs are breathing, and thinking is happening to us. But when we're out about in our everyday life, we don't really are aware that we are ruled by the thinking mind. So when we begin to become more quiet, sit down, and become the observer, we realize the vast activity of the mind. And what we might also realize, that there's something else, and that's the observer of these thoughts. And that in itself
mm,
is one, probably a moment of big awakening, when we not only hear this idea, but we begin to experience it. Because our
mm,
thoughts, I think, which is scientifically proven, tend 80%, 70% towards negativity. So, realizing that that's also just the story, and the stories we tell ourselves
mm,
about the experiences, rather than to just be in the experiences. And so I could talk about meditation for days and days, but one of the things is to find a way to just simply sit down, quiet down, begin to
mm.
observe the mind, begin to observe the breath, and then see what
Yeah.
happens. Because we can talk about
Mm,
meditation, read about it, but it's really about our own experience. Because any wisdom that came
mm,
out of people meditating for a day, for decades, comes from the practice. So it awakens
yeah.
the wisdom that is within. And so I would encourage anybody who feels that curiosity to find a teacher,
Mm,
because it's nice. It can also be guided, that it's very helpful at the beginning. And
I
and
love that.
then just practice and realize it's nothing that needs to be intimidating, where there's a level where we have to get to, and then we're good meditators. It is from
Mm,
the first time on to the hundreds and thousands time of meditation, about sitting down and just being and observing, rather than to, there's no destination, there's no goal. It is an intention, and hopefully the intention is to connect to self, to get to know, to inquire, who am I and why am I here?
yeah.
But also
Yeah.
to just connect, and to open the heart, and hopefully to become the kindest, most compassionate version of ourselves, not only for our own well-being, but for everybody around us.
And okay. I just want to honor you and your work. And Laura, if anyone wants to come and work with you and all the special gifts and offerings, how can they find out more about you, including participating in your weekly Dharma talk?
I believe and hope that on my website, um, which I would be grateful if you, can make that available somehow. But through my website, there should be a lot of information. And then I'm also welcoming any emails with any kind of questions, because I have offerings of private sessions, group sessions, and then my trainings, and the Reiki trainings that I lead is not only energy healing, it is really meditation in these
Amazing.
in the Dharma. So it's hopefully easy to access through my website, and I'm always welcoming any questions.
Amazing. And Laura, again, is an acupuncturist, herbalist. She's a Reiki master. She is a study. She studies, the Buddhist tradition, and again is offering these weekly Dharma talks. Please reach out, find her on her website, which is listed on the link, or through social media. Lara, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you for the light and the wisdom that you're shining into the world, and it's so good to see you today.
So nice to see you, and thank you for this. Thank you so much for your love.
Yes, thank you.
Believing Before Seeing, a new bestseller by Candace Barr. Order your copy today.
In yogic philosophy, the seat of consciousness lives in the heart space. And in order to open the door to the subconscious mind, we want to choose heart-centered emotions. So what are you ready to call into your life at this time? What are you willing to release in order to become this new version of yourself, to create this new dream that you've been wanting?
So metamorphosis. I'd like to read something here to you. It's a powerful thought. This liminal space here, this life, this existence provides an invitation to rest and connect, to reconnect to the most primitive parts of yourself, the essence of your humanity. Remind yourself, this analogy, that just like a caterpillar, you too are a creature of evolution. And as much as we want to rush the process or bypass altogether, the greatest lesson during most of our life in the present moment is to surrender to the cyclical nature of our healing. And as you navigate your way through seeking solace in the healing powers of Mother Nature, maybe walking on the beach, grounding in the forest, finding a place that you can feel the support of the elements around you, learning how to settle your body, getting your toes in the sand, dirt, grass, feeling the stability of the earth, watching the sunrise, basking in the warmth of sun and fire, seeking comfort in the clear blue sky, nurturing your body, nutrients, the food that we're eating. It's a way to demonstrate self-love and support during this journey here on this earth. Observing the changing nature of seasons, the rising of the sun, the cycles of the moon. And as you do, take inspiration from the slow and steady state that nature follows. Give yourself permission to follow your own natural rhythm. And as you integrate these lessons, you are learning. You are learning. You are simply in this period of stillness. And like the dissolving caterpillar in its protection, its protective cocoon, you are transforming. So just dropping us right in today. So thinking about waking up to the present moment. The power lies in this present moment. One of the Yoga Sutra, Patanjali Sutra, says, Atha Yoga Anushanam. Wake up. The transition of the practice begins. Practice of yoga now begins. So how can we come back into the present moment? I've spent most of my journey over the past decade of trying to find those answers for myself, to answer a lot of my own questions, opening up, breaking open, allowing ourselves to become uncomfortable, to explore the deeper spaces within ourselves so that we can find that deeper wisdom, knowing how to trust ourselves. Having experienced my own losses, losing a parent at an early age, dealing with divorce, deep grief and suffering, and also having to take on new roles, evolve, grow, expand, challenges, even just being out in the world, physical challenge, endurance sports, injuries, healing, the many roles that we all play. This has been like a potent medicine, these practices. And I look forward to sharing them today with you. And we will finish out with a meditation today. It's a grounding meditation where we're going to focus on rooting down into the ground. So wherever you're at today in your journey, just inviting you just to be here, celebrating this moment. We're celebrating love. We're celebrating light. We're celebrating ancient wisdom that is already inside of you. We're just accessing it. We're using these special gifts, practice of Reiki, accessing that universal light to be able to help balance, to open up, balancing chi, removing, restoring order in the body. And I wanted to lead us first with a quote. And this is from my own background, growing up in traditional mainstream Christianity, which I still embrace and have so much love. But one of the practices or one of the teachings on love, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and knowledge, if I have faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. Love is patient, kind. Going on to say, it always protects, trusts, hopes, perseveres. Love is the greatest of all. Love is the greatest of all, and it holds all things, everything together. And it should be the greatest motivator for each of us to go in and do our own work, our own journey inward. And I like this quote. This is from one of my mentors, Jessica. There are an abundance of blueprints surrounding us for how to live our lives. The code, the book of life, it's in nature. The elements, the divine design on how to operate. Look to the plants, the weather, how we work in harmony from the subatomic to the cosmic is everything. And I want to share today, I honor my mentors who have journeyed with me this past year. I couldn't have done in the past decade what I have done without having people that were aligned. It's so important to find people you feel truly aligned that are going to call you to that next level of yourself, that share a similar purpose, value, mission, to open, to awaken, people who see you, see who you are, your own journey. So many people, light guides in my own life, that have served through their own sacred teachings and practices that I now teach and embody many. Learning to lean into your intuition, you can trust yourself. What makes you happy? What makes you free? What makes you come alive? Do more of that thing. In general, just as a principle, to tap into your own power. Finding harmony in connecting through vulnerability. This work can be very vulnerable, but that is the medicine of, I believe, of these practices, vulnerability. It allows us to open up, to see ourselves, to truly see what is there already. The wisdom that your body already knows, the answers it holds. It's never too late to rewrite your story. Your guides, the universe, God, they're all there supporting you, cheering you on today. Another thought I love, and I think it's been helpful for me in my process, trusting that your soul picked this experience, this body, this lifetime, this circumstance to do the work. And you are so unique. We are each here to do our own work. Our journeys will look very different, but we are also here to, accomplish and set out to do that. And there is space for you to do your own work, your own journey, to live to your fullest capacity. Something that I recently had heard in one of my trainings, and I love this. We are sweeping for our grandmothers, our grandfathers, for our ancestors, for our daughters, our friends' daughters, for our enemies, those who have passed on, who have left the torch for us to do this work. You are honoring your ancestors by going into this journey to understand the deeper truths. We have this opportunity, this lifetime, to rewrite our cosmic bonds, to do this work. And I believe that these patterns that we may see in our life, the universe will keep serving them until we learn whatever it is that we're supposed to be learning. I mean, every day we continue to see things. Why is this happening again and again? Okay, time to sit down, go inward. And that's where one of the practices of breath work we're going to go through can be so helpful. You becoming a safe space for you, using your own breath to access spaces within you. How do you feel when you have conscious breathing? It drops you back into the present moment, out of that sympathetic drive, anxiety, heightened awareness, back into the parasympathetic, the rest and digest. That's where we're heading. Allowing happiness and joy to be your motivator. Finding a sense of play and letting go of perfection. Reaching for a new vision, one where it breaks the mold of anything and everything that you've ever done. Finding inspiration in the everyday. So whatever spiritual path you may choose to realize this vastness, the sacredness of it, the energy flowing through you, may you realize the power within yourself. May you realize your position. It is not by chance that you are here. Lean into what feels aligned, what feels light, what feels exciting, what invigorates you. So taking a moment here, we're going to bring ourselves into the space, inviting you here now to come into the present moment, beginning to power down the eyes, finding a long, straight spine, taking a nice deep breath in, and then exhale, release. Another deep breath, this time creating a slight constriction in the back of the throat, like creating a sound of the ocean when you breathe in and out. Allowing the belly to expand, the arms are resting down. Beginning to settle into your seat, feeling your feet grounding beneath you. Seeing if you can lengthen through the spine. Just thanking yourself for being here in this moment. Taking another deep breath. Allowing yourself to feel into the sense of stability as if you were rooted, connected, and strong. This ability to be unwavering in who you are. Spending a few more moments continuing to anchor through your breath. When you come to the end of your next exhale, let go of the control of the breath while keeping your focus of awareness at the soles of the feet. And in your mind's eye, start to draw an infinity circle from both of the soles of the feet. Maybe easier to draw from maybe the left, drawing this circle, this infinity shape from the sole of the foot all the way down into the earth surface beneath you. Grounding, extending from one foot, now taking it and looping it back to the other. Visualizing this infinity, this cord from one foot to the other, pulling you, anchoring you down into the earth. Continuing to trace this figure with your mind. Feeling deeply rooted, connected. As we access this portal of limitless possibilities, of grounding. Knowing that the earth is holding you. It can handle anything you have, anything happening in your life at this time. She is nourishing you. She feeds you, allowing you to feel safe, supported, and held. Taking another deep breath, and on your exhale, gently allowing the eyes to open, bringing you back into this present moment. Thank you for being here today, spending your time lifting each of you up in love and light along your journey, your next step, whatever you're calling into your life at this time. Just know that it is yours, it's available to you, that you are supported, you are loved, and you are highly favored. If you'd like to know more about my work, you can follow me at illumemeditate.com or like on social media at Evolution W. Christy for upcoming retreats. I have a few events coming up and offering private and small group Reiki sessions, yoga sessions, and yoga retreats. Thank you again to Lux Media, Candace Barr for your team, amazing team. I feel so honored to have worked together with all of them. And I hope that this message is sent out in the best way and it reverberates throughout the world to help lift and elevate the lives and souls of everyone.